Good morning. So I'm outside sitting on my deck upstairs and looking out over Stokes Valley, which is, I always feel super blessed. I never thought I'd end up in Stokes Valley. I never thought I'd end up in Lower Hutt, to be fair. I remember when the Les Mills Hutt City job first came up, and I actually rang Carrie Keppel. And I was like, Carrie, do I do it? And that was going 8 years ago. And I remember thinking to myself, you don't go through life thinking, oh man, I can't wait to land in Lower Hutt, but far out, I love this place. I'm not going to lie, my life is awesome here, and I'm so blessed and super grateful. Anyway, so I'm looking out on my balcony here in Stokes Valley, and it's pretty cool. Lots of trees and greenery and stuff. Yeah. Anyway, today is recap day, as you know. So I thought I'd just very quickly run through that. So we remember back to Monday. Monday was, what bucket do you live in? What do you bring? So, for example, you might have completely lost your job and thinking, what the hell am I going to do with my life? You might have some semblance of a job, but feel a bit insecure about what that's actually going to mean. And you may actually still have your job and everything's all fine and nothing's really changed for you. So the question is, this week what I tried to do was give you helpful information that might one, either help you to pivot or stay in your lane, which is a concept I haven't talked about at all, but I have definitely discussed it with different people. So Monday was, what bucket you in, and depending on what you're in, some of the things that you could think about was how do you do what you love, and what skills do you bring. I asked you, what problem are you trying to solve if you do decide to go into business, or if you're thinking about what skills you bring, what you love, what could you solve, what problems could you help the world with, and of course for whom. And then I gave you some tips on problem solving. Tuesday we talked about the SWOT analysis. I also talked about being a bit grumpy. And I will talk about patience and how it's kind of running thin. Anyway, SWOT analysis. Remembering, now some of you may never have heard of a SWOT analysis before, and a whole bunch of you have probably done it to death. If you've done it in its typical format, you would have just created lists, unrelated lists. The way I was asking you to do it is basically the way that Stephen Cummings teaches you to do it, which is to look at opportunities and threats first, choose one or two from each of those things, and then build out a capabilities list off the back of that through your strengths and your weaknesses. What are your strengths? What do you lean into? What do you have to mitigate in terms of your weaknesses? Wednesday we had the wasp story. I still, I've got this big patch on my ass. It's just, it was 3 stings in the end, 2 on the bum, 1 on the inner thigh. So, yeah. And on that day I talked about, so off the back of understanding what do you love from Monday, what do you bring, opportunities, threats on Tuesday, I then talked about how do you pivot into your passion. So I guess if you were to think about it as a little building block, you'd move through these phases gradually to come to the other side. Thursday, a little bit melancholy, as I mentioned, in regards to where we're sitting and what level 4, 3 looks like. And that day the big message was make the tough decisions fast. Now that message was obviously directed to the fitness industry, but I've been so proud of some of the businesses that I've worked with over the last couple of weeks, or that I've spent time with, and I'm thinking of one in particular that is not in the fitness industry, but they had to make those tough decisions, and this particular person has got a heart as big as the sun and back again. So it's never easy making those decisions, but I got a message from her saying that she just felt relieved and light because she didn't have that burden, and there's always a possibility of reopening. So, anyway, make the tough decisions. It's not, nobody wants to do it, but if you don't, you run some bigger risks. Friday, connection to your customer, and that is speaking to the space of business owners, leaders, top senior leaders in larger organisations. Do what you can and however you can to talk to your customer, because they want to hear from you. And even if you've got thousands of customers, there's ways around it. And then of course on that day, on Saturday I talked to Carrie Keppel, and she offered some tips around how she does that. So Saturday was about, again, pivoting and staying agile, and then a little bit of gratitude for my beautiful friends that I had some wonderful times with on Friday night, and then some cool tips from Carrie. So hopefully this week has been good for you guys. We are moving into another stage. Obviously there is the oncoming level 3, which we're all sort of hoping for, I think, deep down inside. I know some of us are going, actually, I quite like this whole home thing. And I also know that level 3 is not going to look too dissimilar to level 4, but it does mean for those businesses like my husband's business, they can actually operate, even though that there's going to be a whole bunch of restrictions around that. So I just want to say one thing. I'm really proud to be part of this country. I'm really proud to be in New Zealand right now, and I was speaking to Nathan Jones, and again, I'm not going to give you his tips until Monday. Okay, so I'm going to give you Nathan Jones' tips tomorrow. He had some great nuggets for me. But one of the things Nate did say is that, you know, his Kiwi family, people that he loves and cares for, have just been really connected to him. So I think that's a reflection of our society. It's a reflection of who we are. We are a collective that comes together. I think when Jacinta said it's going to take 5 million people to kill this disease or to get rid of it, and I believe we have the country to do that. So super proud of living here, super proud of who we are, and super proud of the support that we give one another. Have an amazing Sunday, guys. See ya.